Radio City Entertainment for Kids Entertainment and Nintendo welcome you to Pokemon Live, presented by ekidsinternet.com, the safe and secure private internet for kids. We'd like to thank our promotional sponsors, Kellogg's, Continuum Health Partners, and Mars 2112. At this time, please turn off all cell phones and pagers. Please note that the use of flash photography, video, and audio recording devices is strictly prohibited and that smoking is not permitted anywhere in the building. Please be aware that strobe lights and pyrotechnics are used during the performance. We hope you enjoy Radio City Music Hall and ask your help in maintaining its luster by disposing refreshment containers, candy wrappers, and chewing gum into the proper receptacles so that future audiences may share in this newly restored showplace of the nation. Thank you, and enjoy Pokemon Live!
Hello and welcome back to the Silver Screen Conference. I'm your host for today, Theos Coven, starring also Digimon.
So, this is a musical. This was a real thing. I don't know why.
Jova.
I surprisingly did not hate this.
Sadly, no Chiroi, but instead we got another British person in her stead. Please present yourself for the people of Deji's channel who don't know.
Hello, my name is Dwibs, and I was big on Pokemon back in the day, as well most other people were. And while I do regret missing out on the discussions of all the movies that you guys have done up to this point, I am glad to join you guys for this experience.
And what an experience we have today. Jova, please tell us what today's specimen is.
Pokemon Live!
And in Japanese is...
Right, a bit of an explanation is deserved here. Now, let us regale the old days with 4Kids, back before they were known as the bad guys, when they were actually giving 110% for getting anime to be recognized better overseas, with one of their biggest
they were still the
properties,
bad guys,
Pokemon.
so let's not kid ourselves.
One of 4Kids' ideas was kind of something unheard of. Bring Pokemon to not the silver screen, but the big stage. That's right, this thing nearly made it even to Broadway. An actual Pokemon musical based on the anime. And oh boy, me oh my. So I actually may have just been reminded that this is a thing thanks to Dej proposing this project, essentially. Because I'll admit, as a kid, it kind of flew over my head, but now looking back, I see that this may have had some influences, if not on the franchise, definitely on the fan base. Okay, Pokemon Live was a stage show written by Michael Slade. And, why don't we start off with some spicy info right out the gate? Yeah, as of 2016, we got an interview with him via Game Informer. Prior to production of the musical, Michael Slade had no knowledge of Pokemon whatsoever aside from who Pikachu was. He was sent a copy of Mewtwo Strikes Back to help him study for the production. He also had a few weeks to write the full script. He watched the movie quite a few times over to understand it better. Now, during the weeks that he had to write the script, he was also assisted by Ikue Otani, Pikachu's voice actress, and mainly for approval over when Pikachu would speak during production, and also for her recording lines specifically for use in Pokemon Live. What is Pokemon Live, you may ask? Well, it is a story that takes place after the first Pokemon movie. Trust me, that's a plot point. Starring essentially the adventures of Ash Ketchum and folk as he ventures out to get the one and only exclusive Diamond Badge. But little does he know there is a secret plot behind this Diamond Badge, one that will take him on an adventure of wonderment, friendship, and, I'm not kidding, love.
But the power of love compels you.
You know,
Believe it or not,
Michael Deathstroke not knowing a lot about, the franchise explains a lot of things.
I will give Slade credit Having actually seen this musical, it was not nearly as bad as I thought it was going to be. And yes, for those who don't know, while the musical sadly has ended as of 2002 with its last two showings in Belgium, it has been archived by none other than Chris Mitchell, the production stage manager from the US tour. He posted videos of the complete performance in Milwaukee's US Cellular Arena in 7 parts on his personal YouTube channel in 2012. And later, in September 2020, a YouTuber by the name of Benjamin Delbert posted an edit of a whole performance posted in 2016 using restored elements from almost every performance of the show's one on YouTube. That is the copy that we used for, essentially, exploring into the insane world of this, because I don't hate this. Part of me kind of likes it, but like the Ace Attorney musical, it has the musical camp and insanity you would come to expect out of one of these shows.
Well, let me ask Tio this. Do you like the 4Kids Pokemon songs?
Do I really need to answer you that?
Yes. This might actually have. It would provide me some clarity.
I'm particularly picky when it comes to songs in general, you know. Already the Japanese ones tend to be a coin toss to me if I'm actually particularly caring about them or not. When it comes to the 4Kids stuff, it's a one chance in a million if I'm actually gonna be interested in that.
That would explain your pain a lot, actually.
For the record, it's not really a country thing. Like I said, already the Japanese one and also the ones from my country tend to be. It's just a matter that if I want to have something in the background where accompanies a montage or an opening, I prefer it to be just music alone and not with also, vocals.
Yes, in regards to the songs, it has a mixture of original songs, but a lot of the songs are used previously from the soundtracks of Pokemon, To Be a Master, and the soundtrack of Totally Pokemon. Admittedly, recorded by the cast, and in some cases are sung by different characters than they were originally sung, so we'll just be thinking of these songs as the musical's own take on it overall. As for the showings, like we mentioned, it started in 2000 on a United States tour. 2001 came the United Arab Emirates tour, also in 2001 Mexico, and then in 2002, UK did not get the showing. Yeah, UK
we were
had
going
a canceled
to, but it
showing.
was cancelled.
But believe it or not, who actually did get the showing in 2002? Portugal. Yes, the very country that Pedro himself jokes tends to get passed over for stuff, had the rare honor of being shown the Pokemon Live musical.
And it's so bizarre because when it comes to anime-related, material like a stage play or an OVA, the first country that immediately comes to pass when it's not the UK would be France. They would be the first to get this kind of thing, but they weren't even considered.
Yeah, instead Belgium got it. Also, Pedro has told me that he distinctly remembers ads for the Pokemon Live musical on TV, so, I mean...
It was a big deal.
To give 4Kids credit, their advertising was on point.
Bulbapedia tells me it wasn't even like a one-night thing. It went on for a week, between March 21st to the 27th. So, yeah, kind of like the traditional, week showing that America also got, because Belgium only got it for 2 days. Although apparently the United Arab Emirates version lasted an entire month, the one of March.
As for who else was involved in the production, the idea for this was actually came from 4Kids' president, Norman J. Grossfeld, who worked on the anime a lot as a writer, among other things, and also he directed a couple of little things here and there. Also, it was directed and choreographed by a man named Louis Perez, who I can't find anything about on the internet. The music was done by 2 4Kids regulars, John Leffler and John Siegler, and the set was done by a group called Hotop Associates, and so on and so on.
Yeah, that's the weird thing, audience. Aside from a few of the actors involved, a lot of the people involved with this production, are people who did not do that much, again, including a lot of the actors involved. Like, you would think they would have a lot of people. And to be fair, they have some returning voice actors from the anime for, clever consistency, so I appreciate that. But a lot of the actors for aside from a few specific cases, are people who did not do that much stuff.
That being said, two of the actors, Darren Dunstan, who plays Giovanni, and Andrew Rannells, who plays James, would go on to become voice actors for the 4Kids.
Well, James, actor in this, was nominated for 2 Tonys and won a Grammy, so, not exactly small things.
Well, this is, I think that was after this one, wasn't it?
Also, the person who played Delia played the main character, Wicked.
For reference, one of the Tonys that the actor who plays James was nominated for was because he's the protagonist of the Book of Mormon. So,
Now, according to Bulbapedia, the musical was positively received despite some Pokemon-related controversies that followed shortly after. And also some weird stuff the musical does. Apparently, though, some critics were not particularly kind to this musical, which admittedly may depend whether or not how into Pokemon you are here and there.
Okay, I'm looking at Wikipedia right now. Little Review said, maybe it's different in Japan, but it's hard to imagine a Japanese version of Pokemon Live. The show may be based on televised anime, but its tendencies lie in American musicals from The Lion King. The King and I, to Annie, to The Lion King. With solid call dancers and the Backstreet Boys mixed in.
Oh my god.
Yeah, I get the feeling.
If you have a rudimentary knowledge of Pokemon and the enthusiastic underage companion, you'll find you're having a good time even as your eyes roll towards the projection of Haunter on the ceiling.
Diva from Musical L actually made a video about this, but she herself admitted that, much like with Doug Walker, she's not super knowledgeable about the source material, so she judged it only on a, not superficial in terms of dismissing it, but, just on a basic level as a musical, nothing more.
So, I think we pretty much have gotten all the stats out of the way. Let's actually get this Pokemon battle started, shall we? So Act 1 begins with the revelation of a new diamond badge. It's one of a kind, and only one Pokemon trainer can win it from a mysterious gym leader. I wonder who it can be. But enough of that for now. Let's go back to Pallet Town, where Delia and Professor Oak are trying to wake up Ash.
Delia.
So it's kind of implied that, again, this takes place at some point in the anime. We later find out that it's definitely after the first movie.
It has to be around the second, because Ash mentioned that he has already caught Snorlax, so there is that.
And I'm guessing this is before. This is like before
the Orange Islands.
No, after Orange Island.
Okay.
Oh, cool. So by the time Ash had finally won something, which would make sense why he's back home in that regard.
Also, want to point out, when Ash is getting, up, there's a throwaway line where he thinks his mom and Professor Oak are having an affair. Trust me, this is not the end of it when it comes to these kind of jokes.
Believe it or not, that's kind of an inside joke, because the two actors playing Oak and Dash's mom were actually romantically involved at the time.
Also, Professor Oak's actor is super energetic. Like, I wasn't expecting that. It's like Doc Brown possessed him.
That is one thing I will give credit to the musical. Like, I'll admit, when I first heard about Pokemon Live, I thought, oh, of course, they're probably going to phone it in for that. But no, to give the cast credit, they are giving it 110%. And funnily enough, this musical might be the first Pokemon bout of media to suggest that Ash actually is growing up.
Yeah, I know, right? I was surprised too.
Plot point. Yeah, like, he acts older. It's a plot point that he's getting older.
There will also be a song about it.
Oh, he even sounds older.
Which, to be fair, might have been their way to have a saving throw, but, I'll give him credit. That is ground sadly not often covered. I get why, but props to the musical for doing that. Upon which we get, of course, Gotta Catch 'Em All as it's played in the background where Ash is getting ready
He's
to
dancing
go.
in his underwear.
Yes. Now, Delia and Oak want him to come to a lecture on the sleep disorders about a Snorlax, which, yeah, sounds about as exciting as that probably would be, so Ash ain't really having it. Instead, no, he wants to venture off to challenge the mysterious gym leader for the Diamond Badge. So, while Oak and his mom go off, he is then, of course, approached by Misty and Brock.
And by approach,
Who
we mean catching him with his pants off in the middle of a song.
Which makes me wonder if they broke into his house for that.
I mean, it's consistent
Wow.
with the games,
What
I
great
suppose.
friends.
I mean,
Yeah,
given
you,
what we
you just
or-
randomly
or-
stroll into people's houses.
Or he's they leave a key under the mat just in case.
Oh, how nice. And I guess he trusts Brock and Misty enough to know that secret. But anyway, not too long after, we get the first song, You and Me and Pokemon, where essentially Ash assures Misty that he considers her and Brock just as much friends as he does his Pokemon.
Except for
Misty
the
is a
fact
bit-
that he forgot to take her out to go celebrate her birthday.
In
What a
3
great friend.
weeks.
What a
Yeah.
great friend.
Mind you, you would
Oh.
think this was just an impetus and, it's just used for that. But no, this plot point would be very important for the entirety of Misty's characterization in this fucking thing.
Yeah, let's just say Misty's
Oh,
a
that's
bit...
why you don't like it.
Okay, let's just...
I already told you what the fact that unlike the rest of you, I tend to cherish a bit more Misty. So seeing her being done dirty in this production is, yeah, go on, Joe.
It's
All right,
funny.
Dwibs,
Some
I need
people
to ask you a
consider it
really
dirty.
important question.
Yes.
Did you have anything to do with this script?
You know, that
how
would
do you mean
explain a
exactly?
lot.
I Ghost wrote something.
I mean, there's an
Uh,
explosion in the end, so that kind of feels like a you thing.
Yes. I secret. I did everything. I even wrote in that Pikachu suddenly grew 50 feet.
Was
Okay.
it also...
Yeah, that's the thing. The Pokemon have to, in order to have been played by, actors in a suit, obviously are bigger in size, but sometimes it causes a bit of a whiplash. But it's also a good point because it's presented right in this first song, You and Me and Pokemon. I would say one of the few positive things that I genuinely want to say about this product, the production design for the props, at least on from the point of view of someone who's not super versatile, musical seems to be relatively high. Like the suits and the cardboard seems to be done very well, and even with the stage ninjas moving, they seem to be doing just fine with that. And there's actually a lot of them. Most of them just were a single appearance, like, oh, it's that Pokemon there, but it's actually pretty neat.
Oh yeah, like I will say this, they definitely spared no expense with the production, which is part of why I did end up liking it. Like again, it's for kids, so I kind of have been trained to expect something half-assed going off of their modern takes, but it was nice to be reminded that they did give a lot of effort back in the day when they were starting out, because holy cow, yeah, like Tio said, the production values are pretty good. So anyway, after the song, Ash and company set off on a journey. Oh, right, bit of a thing. The map is downloadable from a website, which is what they use to find the way to there. But all is not right, as it is revealed that the mysterious gym leader offering the Diamond Badge is none other than Giovanni.
Playing this case by Darren Dunstan, which if you don't know is Pegasus voice actor from the Yu-Gi-Oh! For Kids anime dub.
Even kind. I swear, this is like how he started to make his Pegasus voice.
It's interesting
Before
too.
before we get into that, we also were introduced to Team Rocket.
All
Jesse
right,
and James.
Jesse.
I wrote down no. On Jesse sound at first, I thought that was Rita Repulsa.
That would
Yeah, I
have
thought
how
I
she
was
sounded.
thinking, what did we to Repulsa get in here?
For reference, Meowth is voiced by Maddie Blaustein, much like with the anime. Like I said, there's a good level of consistency because, if the character is supposed to be just as sweet and someone has to dub over them, you might as well get the original voice actor, good logic behind that.
Yeah.
Also,
As I mentioned earlier, Pikachu's actress also returned for this as
also,
well.
we might as well mention. I'm not super versed in theater, so I don't know how much common is this thing and how much of a distinction is there. But one thing that they mentioned at the very beginning is that there is some degree of interactivity with the public, with the
Yes.
crowd, as in. Aside from, stay quiet most of the time, you have to cheer in a specific moment, but every time Jesse, James, and Meow do something, you have to boo them. Which I get it, and I get it, but this is for a very young target audience, despite a lot of things. But it kind of starts becoming a bit annoying at some point. Like, just let them do their shenanigans. That's what I'm saying.
Oh,
I
yeah,
think
yeah.
the
Like,
joke
all
is
the-
Team Rocket are the only ones aware of the fourth.
Yeah, there
wall.
is some fourth wall breaking. I think in the copy that we saw, James mentions that people in New York were more loud or something.
No, and
Although-
people in Cleveland were louder, and New York are screamophobic or something like that. They really
But
are the
then-
bad guys. They're praising Cleveland. What's wrong with them?
Go, German.
And that's how they got people to war. But I do find it kind of ironic that Team Rocket get booed because I'm not gonna kid you, this musical might be the most effective Team Rocket have been in a while at accomplishing the goals set out for them. Like, I'm just gonna put all cards on the table. They actually managed to fulfill every mission that Giovanni gives to them in this show, amazingly. Speaking of which, yeah, Giovanni basically gives them orders to, well, what else? Capture Pikachu.
With his own song.
Yes,
Which is a good
it
song.
will all be mine. And yeah, again, good song. Like, okay, I'll say
Easily
this.
the best of the one to me, which also gives the implication that, at least to me, the musical peaks here.
Well, I mean, it is the villain song. Apparently, this was a song made exclusively for the musical, so that's one of the originals. And yeah, it's an absolute bop. Like, I will say this. If you're someone like me who did like the 4Kids songs, this will be a treat for you because they got all the wondrous rap, cheese, and corniness, but also still legit fire lyrics and music overall. But yes, Giovanni has developed a new machine, a device that will allow him to take over the world!
Of course.
And what is this mysterious Pokemon? A Pokemon that even got its own trading card distributed at the musical itself? It is Mecha Mewtwo.
With a number, too.
And once again, they did not spare any expense because, yes, they made a full-on animatronic for a robotic version of Mewtwo. Which is also part of the revelation that, yes, this is taking place after the first movie.
Unfortunately, with the video quality that we had to work with, I couldn't really make him out very well.
It's in the shadows most of the times, unfortunately.
There are some clear pictures of it.
Yeah, the trading card also showcases a clearer picture of it. And yeah, again, good production design. You can tell a lot of effort went into it.
In case you're wondering, Dwibs, here's what it looks like in light, essentially. And yeah, again, that's a pretty cool design, all things considered. Essentially, Mecha Mewtwo is a special Pokemon created by Giovanni, still feeling sore after his last loss to Mewtwo, which, I guess if you count this, means that he had essentially 3 plans involving Mewtwo, counting this, the movie, and Mewtwo Returns. But I digress. The special ability of this robot is essentially, whenever it's attacked by a Pokemon, it registers that move, learns it, and stores it in a database. Essentially, Giovanni has made the ultimate illegal Pokemon that can learn every single move. At least as far as
So is
Gen
this the
1
basis
anyway.
for Pokemon ROM hacks?
Yes! Giovanni was a dirty hacker all
I mean, it's
along.
not too different. Okay, just in a different method, admittedly, but it's not too far off from what Master of Mirage was also doing.
Yeah.
would-
but this came out first.
Also,
which is
worth
the
noting,
hilarious
we have
thing.
a small montage of, this is important for even the climax, small montage of trainers trying to beat Giovanni, The first one uses
Venusaur, I believe.
Alakazam. No.
Alakazam with
Alakazam.
Psycho Beam. The second uses Venusaur with Poison Powder, and apparently replicating that allows, Mecha Mewtwo to instantly win. Sure. And the third one uses an Electrode with Self-Destruct, and even Giovanni is like, oh, don't worry, he has learned it, and your Pokemon is already fainted. No use to actually use it.
I get the logic.
I have to understand what that trainer's thought process is. No, I'm going to go all out, self-destruct.
Okay. To his credit, game-wise, self-destruct is supposed to leave the Pokemon that uses it with some health, especially if that move is used at full health. And the idea is that the Mecha Mewtwo is kind of unstoppable with almost any other move. So the idea was, hey, blow it up. That should stop the robot. But apparently Mecha Mewtwo is made of some indestructible... Speaking of Giovanni, they actually do play up his Italian side in this, with him even giving some Italian vernacular right up to
Yeah.
Which is interesting, but not the most interesting thing that will be done with Giovanni. No. But don't worry, we'll get to that later. For now, let's go back to Ash and Company in the forest, where Ash is gushing about how great an achievement getting the Diamond Badge win, because to him, getting a badge is like getting your first car keys and getting a gold star from the teacher. I feel like there's a bit of a gap between those two.
Not just that, but you're telling me Ash actually went to school?
Yes.
Yeah, actually.
He's supposed to be 10.
Implied that he did.
Yeah, but Deji Southern wouldn't be for another like nearly 20 years.
No, even before Sun and Moon, he did. It was implied that he did go to school before.
I mean, there was like examining as well. That's going on. Brock does what he does. Can I even say best? He does what he does. He goes off and flirts with girls that are nearby.
And ironically, he's kind of
they all slap him. I think this is the first time girls have ever hit Brock.
At least Brock is
and it's not even canon.
The ironic thing is that it's implied that Brock was actually scoring with the ladies. In fact, the only thing that stopped it was when they found out he was apparently flirting with all of them.
Classic.
So he basically got the Persona 5 treatment.
Again, at least Brock's in character, because instead Misty starts harping even more Ash about in November he forgot her birthday and maybe he's not even her friend or potentially something more. I'm like, shut up.
But it's okay, guys. We've got a song to make things better, and once again, this one's
I don't know why you're complaining. This is perfectly in character for her.
Shut the fuck up, Dej.
I mean, where's the lie?
You know I'm right.
No, I'm sorry. I'm kind of tired of all this shaming of Misty over these kind of movies. Sure, she might not be the best, but not to the point of being incompetent or this stupid, because this Misty, this particular international Misty, almost feels like a character that did not knew anything about Pokemon and was isekai'd the day before into this, because a lot of times she doesn't even sound like she's a trainer. She instead mentions, oh, Pokemons are lame, we should do more mundane stuff.
I don't think she ever says Pokemon.
Well, not in the exact terms, but her way of talking to Ash and Brock, it was more like, oh, you guys think that Pokemon is everything, we should do more mundane stuff, which, like, maybe kind of sort I can understand. Sorry, go on.
It feels like an exaggeration of how she actually is, because when Ash is more into, let's go Pokemon battling, Misty is usually the one to be like, let's take a break, like relax.
But the thing is that she's
now.
Still a trainer. She still has Pokemon of her own. She still cares about them and everything. She's on par with Ash and Brock on that kind of quality. But this showcased the fact that the writer knew not much about the source material before writing this, because again, the way Misty is wrote in this feels horribly different than even the worst she has been over the anime. I'm sorry.
I'm gonna have to
trust me, it's not the worst yet.
I'll admit, I'm gonna have to disagree. Like, I think Misty, while an exaggeration, Misty don't feel too different from the anime for me. Like, let's not forget, she was the gym leader who left her gym essentially for quite some time. Like, I could totally see.
Well, that's because she wants to be a better trainer, though.
That is true. But she was kind of the one who was like, Pokemon battling isn't everything, which, not to say she hated it, but I could see her being the one concerned about more than just Pokemon battling, their future even, and admittedly, while they do some weird stuff with her in this, none of this feels particularly out of character for her. Like, heck, even that one weird thing has kind of been something that was implied, albeit more so in the Japanese version, especially with Power of One, but I digress. But no, I'm gonna agree with Dej. I honestly don't think anyone's too out of character in this. Oh, that's not counting some weird stuff they do, but I honestly feel like, again, I feel like Michael Slade, for what little research he had to work with, got these for the most part fine. Although I will say this, if there is one character I do feel a bit off, it is Brock, since it does feel like half the time they can't decide whether he's supposed to be like a ladies' man who's slick with the ladies, or if he's constantly falling flat on his face with that. And yeah, we don't really get to see his serious side either, because Brock is definitely goofy. Now, admittedly, we have seen him be goofy in the anime too. I do wish that they could have shown more of his serious side for his musical. That's probably my one issue here. But back to the song that they were doing. Again, My Best Friends, pretty great cover, great music and all, gets the time going. Meanwhile, Team Rocket are setting up a trap for them, a classic pit trap. Of course, in typical Looney Tunes style, the trap does not work, because they forgot to pull the supports
And
out.
they themselves get into
That's funny.
with Meow having to get a rope.
Classic Team Rocket.
That is, I don't know. I actually like that.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm easy to please.
Meanwhile,
Yes.
Me-
So Delia and Professor Oak go to where the lecture is supposed to be held, although it seems to be a rundown building, which is just a little bit sus. But we don't have time to worry about that because, oh, poor Delia is worrying that Ash is growing up. Because, like we mentioned, yes, Ash growing up is a plot point in this, which, you know what, I welcome. What does become of Pokemon trainers as they grow up as kids and to teenagers and later adults? That will also be a bit of a plot point involving Misty in that regard, but
in
once
general,
again,
it's
we've got
something that
another song.
it's a novelty because the show barely touched, these area in its stubborn refusal letting Ash actually growing up. So it's kind of interesting in a way because of this exploring new ground.
Yeah, I like it. But yeah, we get another song, Sun Between Oak and Delia, and yeah, the implications of those two dating are quite on display because their chemistry is weirdly on point with the song Everything Changes, which is of course about how stuff goes here and there. Everything Changes was a song that originated from the Pokemon 2BA Master CD, once again revised for Pokemon Live in this regard. Fun fact, a non-lyrical version of that song was used in the game Pokemon Puzzle League as the theme song for Sabrina.
We did comment on that, I just didn't notice it.
Yeah, always nice to get a look back at that stuff. Anyway, as the song finishes, Giovanni and his grunt show up. It turns out that the Snorlax lecture was a trap devised by Giovanni to get Professor Oak into his clutches, so we wouldn't interfere with his plan, and so Oak can see firsthand the genius he has developed. However, Giovanni notices Delia Ketchum.
Okay, so I have something to say about this.
Go right ahead.
Originally, it was supposed to be... originally, Giovanni was supposed to be Ash's dad.
So
Wait,
you're telling me
like,
that Ash was supposed to be at least a quarter Italian. Be very afraid.
So all those theories of Giovanni's is Ash's dad, this is where it originated from.
I kind of imagine
Yes.
why they had to backtrack. Probably the people involved in the anime were like, try not to impose too many radical changes in this. I suppose
I guess
maybe
they
that
were
was
all-
a mandate.
I'm guessing they were also still juggling whether or not they wanted to reveal who Ash's dad
Oh,
was or not.
and look at that! These many years later, and what do we know about Ash's father? Still absolutely jack shit! The last series concludes with a tongue-in-cheek joke of Dahlia saying to Ash, "Oh, your father was also waiting here, but 5 minutes ago he went away and could not see you." Sucks to be that, right?
You know
Fuck
what?
that.
You know what? His dad might as well be Giovanni. In fact, yes, the ship Diamond Shipping, which is the pairing for Delia and Giovanni, yeah, that was named after the diamond badge introduced in this musical. So
Also,
I'm leaving. I'm leaving. Goodbye, everybody.
Yes, Dwibs.
also, I don't know. I can't imagine Ash dropping Italian terminology every.
I
every so
mean,
often.
maybe in your well, you have seen the previous OVAs, Dwibs. Again, Ash is already used to hijack, prophecies and powers 24/7, from different cultures. What's one more to be added to the pile?
you know the funny
world
thing.
will turn to Ash.
You know, the funny thing is, while they don't outright state that Giovanni is Ash's dad,
It's
they
still
do
implied.
Yeah, like they do still leave heavy room for him to be it. So Delia used to run with Team Rocket, which I'll admit, that's a pretty creative backstory. And she used to date Giovanni.
Yeah, the
Now,
way it's worded doesn't leave too much to the imagination, and combined with stuff from before, like the whole implied dating with Professor Oak and, Ash being caught with his pants off during a sing number, was like, are we really sure this was intended for a younger audience and not, teen to late teens? Because, some of the stuff doesn't really feel exactly for preschool or for, very young audience.
Now, Ash's mom does say that she left with Ash's actual dad, but come on, there is still room left open that Giovanni is actually the father. It could just be about if he may have been your father, but he wasn't your daddy, Ash, yada, yada, yada. Like, I'm definitely certain that they left that open as a tongue-in-cheek thing, and yeah, again, thanks to that, the idea that Ash's mom and, well, his dad were Delia and Giovanni does ironically have merit thanks to the musical of all things, and, well, that's the closest we've ever found out about his dad, so unless the Pokemon Company come out with something else, I guess Diamond Shipping has its foundation.
It's funny
Good
because
Lord.
these days instead, Delia is actually instead shipped more with Jesse instead. No idea why.
Huh, I did not notice
Honestly,
when that
I
started
thought-
to be a thing.
I thought Delia was shitball with Professor Oak.
The point is, Ash Mom is shipped with a lot of people.
The point is that Giovanni wants to rekindle things with Delia, so yeah, she's getting kidnapped too. Which leads us to the song Everything Changes for the first reprisal.
Well, there were actually a couple of minor reprises before, but again, this is another case, yeah.
Oh, no. This is actually the first of the reprisals in the
There
musical so far.
there was a small reprise of It Will All Be Mine before, still with Giovanni after the
Oh.
Pokemon battles.
Yeah, okay, fair point. There was that one. So Giovanni takes them on his personal helicopter back to his evil lair. Which, to give him credit, they didn't bring the helicopter on, but convincing sound. Anyway, back in the forest, Ash, Misty, and Brock are lost because Brock accidentally threw the map away while talking to the female trainers from earlier. Whoopsie. So then they come across a deaf trainer.
Which
who
express
even-
using sign language.
Yeah.
Again,
he takes...
that's. I wonder whose idea was it to include this, because for back then something like this probably was not the first thing that would be it thought of in order to give a bit of variety. Certainly, it wasn't like today where would be, consultants and says, give representation to, possible disability, like what happened with the Spider-Man 2 Insomniac game, So I wonder specifically which one of the production team thought about this particular, plot point, because, it's not intrusive, it's not, in your face, it's just a thing that happened and presents this trainer in a normalized context. So that's pretty cool, actually.
And props to Michael Slade on doing his research, because this trainer's Pokemon partner is Jigglypuff, which
no.
that's actually pretty clever. A deaf trainer teamed up with Jigglypuff, who proceeds to
if
pretty
this was
much
made
knock
today,
everyone else out.
he'd have the Loud Dre line.
Not Chatot?
The which one is that?
The Gen 4, the parrot with a musical note.
I feel like because Loud Dre's ability is soundproof.
The point is that Jigglypuff does Jigglypuff, everyone gets asleep and he scribbles crayon over them. Which leads...
Oh, yes.
Oh my god.
Okay, Ash and Misty shippers, congratulations. Your girl loves the boy.
But in the creepiest way possible, because she does what me, Joe and Dwibs and the others noted in the past. She wakes up before everyone else, admires Ash while he's sleeping, and she has this ballad song about how much she loves him, and it comes across as very skeevy, like. And again, whose idea was it to use this as a conduit to ship Ash and Misty? Like, I get it. Maybe in the anime there were a few hints, like Jova mentioned in Pokemon 2000. There's also that bit during the Orange Island arc where Brock had already left, and when Ash and Misty get captured, Jesse and James make a joke about them in a couple. But it was very just, a passing thing, and nothing that I considered it to be this kind of serious. But instead, this really feels fanficky, and it has the unfortunate effect of being presented in a very gross way.
Now, Tio, are you ready for a surprise? This song was not originally from the musical. This was actually, Misty's song was actually a song already made.
Yeah, that's why I was like,
VA Master soundtrack. So technically, the seeds were already being planted. And you know what? I'll admit, as somebody who is typically not a fan of Misty, I don't hate this. Okay, my problems with Misty aside, and yeah, look, we have had a lot to complain about her on these runs in Silver Screen Conference, but surprisingly, okay, aside from the whole complaining about stuff, Misty feels in some ways, at least to me, more subdued in how she berates Ash, since it's revealed that the reason she's been getting on Ash's case a lot, especially in forgetting her birthday stuff, is that she has developed feelings for him. Now, given that the plot point of this does seem to be growing up, I can get this, Love and puberty do be things that go in hand. Well, puberty.
God, we're gonna be so fucked when we get to the movies with Serena. I know.
I just like to imagine in the crowd, Serena's watching. She slowly shakes her head no.
Well, fortunately for Serena, this isn't canon.
Well, again, even if it was, just imagine Serena's in the crowd watching and going, "Oh, I see."
On that note, I have a picture to show you.
Oh my god!
But keep talking.
Basically, Misty sings about how she's grown to have feelings for him. Again, it is definitely part of that musical corniness, and yet I'm fine with it.
Speaking of which, Dwibs, I'm curious for the musical as a whole. It's a good point to mention, because about the synth instrumentation, since you're particularly critical about this, what do you think of that?
Since the composers two of the composers for the anime did the music for this, I was at least kind of prepared for how the music sounded, and I guess on that front, I wasn't.
There's a lot of Casio keyboard going on in this product.
Yeah, it's like, again, in terms of like dub music, as a music made exclusively for anime dubs, I much prefer Digimons over Pokemons, because full orchestra beats beats silly symphony, in my opinion.
All right,
I've always found that to be a bit of a way too black and white way of looking at things, because synth does have a place in the music industry still.
Yeah, I don't hate synth, but But it depends on the quality. But Four Kids' music sound quality was all over the map. Sometimes it was really good, like in Yu-Gi-Oh! GX. Other times it was really bad, like in One Piece.
Anyway,
Oh,
ballad's
God,
over.
One
Ash
Piece.
wakes up. Of course, Misty doesn't actually tell her feelings and instead, dismisses them. Moving on.
But hey, at least he was nice enough to wipe the marker off his face while he was asleep.
Again,
Leaves it on Brock,
creepy.
though. Well, I'm sure Ash would appreciate that at the very least. The wiping part, anyway. Anyway, so after that ballad, Meowth helped Jesse and James get out of the hole, essentially. And they have pretty much their most downbeat moment where they're pretty much like, you know what? Why do we even bother at this point? But Meowth rouses them with what else? A song to show that they are the best at being the
I
worst.
would like to mention that the song in itself is technically not too much of a big deal, They essentially, again, like Joe said, prop themselves up by cheekily say that, they're best at being the worst. The thing is that at one point they compared their ineptitude to the Hindenburg crash. It's like if 50 years from now, someone in a stage production for preschoolers will compare Misfortune to 9/11. Yeah.
Well, WWE already did that.
But yeah, so they rouse themselves up so that they can once again have a go at capturing Pikachu, which is just what they're off to do. Which, yeah, believe it or not, they accomplish. Basically, they take their Magikarp submarine to catch up with Ash and company at Cerulean Blue Lagoon, where Ash is getting ready to face off against the gym leader, but he's having trouble deciding which Pokemon he'll use. I wonder, out of all the Pokemon, despite the fact that only one has really shown up on stage for the budget of this musical,
the one they had to make one costume for. How about the only one who they had a costume for, and the one that has the most voice clips they can use?
Nah, what are you talking about? He's totally gonna use Charizard. Although not.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. Them trying to work out how to translate Charizard onto a stage production would have been hilarious.
You give them credit, given some of the effects at hand. As long as they can control where the flames go well enough, they possibly could have. But no, it's Pikachu. Right down to the song. Pikachu, I Choose You, which
Or
is
emphasis.
kind of a tango tune. It's interesting, honestly. Especially given that it's sung from Ash.
I think the best part of this is that Team Rocket goes actually meta with this, because in the middle of a musical they start to have an imaginary spot with a lot of people with other Pikachus, and Team Rocket uses this very moment to actually snaggle away in the crowd and get the Ash's Pikachu. I wasn't expecting this.
Like, again, to get
I was like,
Team Rocket,
wait, how did Pikachu disappear? And then I had to replay. I was like, oh my god, they actually stole him.
like, to give Team Rocket credit, using the meta to finally accomplish their goal of capturing Pikachu, well done. Well done, because yes, Team Rocket finally capture Pikachu, and it's not even one of those temporary captures. They actually managed to deliver Pikachu to Giovanni. Holy cow. Because, yeah, believe it or not, that is where the first act ends, when Ash realizes that Pikachu is gone. Well, try not to cry, kids. It's time for intermission.
Yeah,
come on. Okay, now you have 15 minutes to cry.
The thing is that, however, the thing that happens immediately after the intermission is bizarre. The plot gets put on pause, and we have a musical number from the point of view of what I guess is a visual representation of the Pokédex called Dexter.
Yep.
Okay, which
that
tells
is what Ash's Pokédex was called.
Which tells what the fact that it needs to be always on point because Ash is dependent of them, and I always find that hilarious because Pokédex do not really tell you the moves of of the Pokemon that gets registered unless you're playing, a modification or something. But
Even the manga kind of does that as well, so it doesn't. So it's one of those gameplay versus.
well, no, even
story
the
making.
video games do that. Again, I think it would have been. Again, it would be cool if the Pokédex in the games actually did what the Dexter actually says. Also, worth
It
noting.
seemed like they were moving towards that, starting with Gen 7, where the Pokédex is infiltrated by a ghost Pokemon.
Also,
Right on.
worth noting is that during this particular song, one of the verses has a joke that has something about saying ass, but they replace it with grass, and I cringed.
Oh yeah, believe it or not, that is also a song originally from not just the 2B Master CD, but Pikachu's Jukebox. This was one I actually do remember occasionally playing along with episodes as a kid, and yeah, I dig this song. And yes, it does try to essentially go to how poison gas will kick your grass.
Ugh.
Also, the visual representation of Dexter feels like every tech bro's dream. This is how Apple envisions Siri.
Oh, good lord. So, Act 2 opens up with Ash distraught that Pikachu is missing.
Oh my
Which-
god! Yeah, this bit.
Yeah.
This prompts
okay.
This prompts Misty to say maybe Pikachu also thinks you're not treating well like your friends. Hint, hint, wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Oh my god! Shut up
Yeah.
already!
Okay. I'm mostly fine with Misty in this musical, but I'll admit, even that line was a little bit. Look, girl, either tell him you have feelings or you might legit break him, because god damn, implying that Ash's best friend would leave just because, well, she implies that Ash forgot Pikachu's birthday too, which is like.
It's
Yeah,
basically
that
a
would
roundabout
make sense.
way to say it's all about me. It's like I'm pretty sure if Pedro was here, we'll make a Julia Roberts comparison because that was Misty is in this fucking musical. It's all about me.
Yeah, that one. When I was seeing that plot point, I audibly groaned. I'm like, "Are you serious?"
Like, look,
We're
you
not-
want to you want to ship Misty with Ash, that's fine, but guys, if you want us to actually buy into the relationship between Misty and Ash, you can't have her do asshole-ish stuff like there's being a bit dickish.
It's also
Maybe a bit
again
snippish.
it's also bad female representation because later on, not too far from now, but after a specific musical, one of the exchanges that Misty has is more of a generalization. Say, "Oh, boys, they always chase around the girls and only care about Pokemon and stuff." Like, come on.
This is admittedly
You can
in the
tell
wake
that this
of-
was written by an American.
Goddamn. But yeah, no. Essentially, Ash proposes that they split up. However, rather than go with him, Misty opts to go with Brock because she's frustrated with Ash. This prompts the song "The Time Has Come," Pikachu from what else? Pikachu's Goodbye. Now, I want to be fair to the episode Pikachu's Goodbye. A lot of people harp on that nowadays, but to give that episode credit, that was back when the fake out friend leaving the group trope was not as common as it is now. And to their credit, it was, I would say, effective for the time. And of course, that's why they used the song "The Time Has Come" from that episode, with Ash actually pondering Misty's words that yes, Pikachu legit did leave him, and he's about how, well, maybe I may need to let him go, which it's nice to see that he's prepared, but damn, did that get dark. Holy cow.
Again, it's also because this is using anime logic, because if we really had to apply game logic, it's more the fact that, your beasts are mind controlled by the balls we're stored in. Anything. Again, there's a reason why stuff like Shin Megami Tensei or Undertale make a point that, friendship with this creature, it's applied via communication and, respecting their wishes and desires, instead of magically, storing them into a device against their will. But that's a scene for the entire franchise as a whole.
Yeah. Right, yeah. So anyway, back at Giovanni's gym, Delia and Professor Oak are locked away in cages by his battle
With
arena.
hilarious catches like Oak trying to open the door with a karate move and injuring his hand. Laugh.
But hey, Delia helps calm him down with, mother skills, as she calls them. Like, Jesus, are they really do seem to be implying that there might be something going on between Delia and Oak.
Jova,
That
moms are
one-
tough.
Which I guess they are,
Tio, I'm
because...
taking my channel back.
You wish.
But no, for reals. I guess Delia is tough because she's able to resist the suave, charming charisma of her old flame, Giovanni, who, again, wants to see if they can make it work.
Well,
I'm not
yeah,
so-
unfortunately, even Pegasus's charm doesn't work.
Oh, alas. But yeah, essentially, Delia explains that when she was a teenager, she fell into a bad crowd, ergo Team Rocket. Again, I'll admit, the backstory of Ash's mom being an ex-Team Rocket member, a secret that she has kept...
cool.
And again,
Yeah,
unexplored territory, because, again, over the course of the series and the movies, what did we learn about, Ash's mother? At best, it was in the movie 3, when she was a colleague, or a friend with the professor of that movie. But that's kind of it. Otherwise, she has not that much going for. So at least this is something, I guess.
But
you can tell this is technically a retcon applied for a specific product not done by the original writer, but it's worse, it's technically harmless, because it's not like it's saying, it's always been like this and this alter forever the character. Sure, it gives the implication that Giovanni might have been the father, but it's more of a question mark that just gives a bit of extra personality to the character rather than, pretending part of her story did not exist.
I'll be honest. If it were me, I would have just let them say that, yes, Giovanni is the father. As corny as that is, that could add on a ton of development for Ash and his mom. Them having to reconcile with the fact that some of Ash's greatest enemies are led by his father, because yes, this musical does go out of its way to show that Ash really does flipping hate Team Rocket. Holy cow, he sounds like Kratos level of vengeance when he talks about how much he hates Team Rocket.
Are you saying that would have been an actually cool idea? Oh, well, sorry, can't have that. Fuck you, Journey. What?
Again, to give the writers credit, they leave the door open that we could still come to that conclusion that Giovanni is Ash's father. As to the anime, I think by Sun and Moon they had revealed that Ash's mom had wanted to be a model and had also aspired to be a Pokemon trainer at some point. I think there was even that one episode where she does get to try her hand at being a Pokemon trainer. But...
I mean, I don't blame too much the people behind the anime, because the inspiration material, as in most of the gens, do have the mother of the protagonist, not really any personality to speak of. The best we get is in Gen 3 by the virtue of Norman existing as your father equivalent. So there is a bit of a dynamic, but nothing more than that.
There is also Gen 6 where your mom is implied to be a famous Rhyhorn racer.
I guess there is that.
Don's mom is she was a Pokemon coordinator, and that's why Don wants to be a coordinator as well.
But yeah, basically, that is still Aya's backstory, essentially. However, after the story, Giovanni enters to boast to them about Mecha Mewtwo, upon which he sings another dark reprise, this time of You and Me and Pokemon, from the start. Right in time for Jesse and James to show up with a captured Pikachu while singing the famous Team Rocket song, Double Trouble.
In rap format. Yeah, this musical seems to have fixation of 3 genres and nothing more. Gospel, ballad, and rap.
To their credit, this was also a song from Pikachu's Jukebox, so yeah, that was already a thing. And again, I'm all in it for the cheese of it. I love it. And yes, again,
the lyrics.
And again, to give Team Rocket credit, they deliver Pikachu to Giovanni. Technically no losses here for them on that regard, funnily enough. However, there's just one little problem. Pikachu will gladly shock them but it won't shock the robot. See, it turns out that while the plot has been going on, Giovanni's challenge has attracted enough Pokemon that he is literally just missing a
The
set
Thunder.
of electric moves.
Okay,
essentially.
I need to ponder about this for a second. I don't know if you rest of you paid attention to this particular moment, but in case, is it me or Giovanni's actor almost flubbed his line during the recording that we used? Because he mentioned, the way he mentions specifically about thunder, he pauses for a second and then almost restarts the phrase from the beginning. So he gave me the vibe that he was like either forgetting or flubbing the line and had to quickly salvage the situation.
I wonder if he was originally trying to say he needs an electric set of moves, essentially, although he does say just one move, so that might have been him sticking to the thunder thing, because technically when we do actually get the fight, Pikachu uses 2 different moves that thing absorbs. But yes, apparently he has gotten all but one move, and then he'll be able to take over the world.
Of course.
With what? Just using one move per each type?
Dwibs, I'd like to remind you, Dwibs, Mastermind of Mirage thought he could take over the world with his dingly set of mirrors.
Okay.
I don't think I watched that one.
To Giovanni's credit, by the standards of Gen 1 and potentially Gen 2, he does have all but one move. Boy, will he be in for a surprise when he gets to Hoenn, or Alola, or Unova. Because, few more moves there, bud.
The eternal retcon nightmare continues.
Yeah, he's like, that's progress. That's the only way we can defeat Giovanni.
Pokemon has been getting better at how to handle the retcon stuff, essentially, but yeah, in hindsight, Giovanni still had a ways to go.
I can tell you that in Masters EX storyline, Giovanni is very competent in adapting to all of the new gimmicks proposed. So that's actually pretty cool.
Yeah, I've heard that Masters EX actually has a pretty good narrative.
It's the equivalent of Dissidia as for Final Fantasy. It's basically your ultimate fan fiction where all of the Pokemon named characters, are united, in a particular location and, have a set of adventures together against each other. It's pretty cool.
If Pikachu won't readily attack, he needs to get the trainer. So, in a twist of fate, Giovanni tells the Team Rocket trio to capture Pikachu's trainer. So instead of going after Pikachu, they go after Ash. And again, getting a bit ahead of myself, but they managed to succeed at that too. But, yeah.
Back to Misty and Brock.
Yeah. Misty pretty much admits to Brock that she didn't really mean it when she said that Pikachu would choose to leave Ash. She was just venting and trying to get Ash to realize that he's kind of alienating his friends by ignoring them. Which, to Brock's credit, it does not take a detective to realize that Misty is suggesting that she has feelings for Ash.
The problem is that Brock is handling, as it's custom for him, with the subtlety of a sledgehammer, which feels a bit invasive when you really get down to it. Basically, almost every aspect of this idea of Misty being infatuated with Ash is treated possibly in the worst ways possible.
I mean, thank God they don't get as bad as the lightning.
And apparently this is enough to launch Brock in his own solo song, because Misty tells him that he cares only about, multiple girls at the same time, including, who else? Nurse Joy and Officer Jenny.
Oh, how cute. But yes, they do legit bring in Nurse Joy and Officer Jenny with, again, some pretty good set work and how they interwork.
And at the very least, the genre of the song here is different, more akin to, I guess, 50s, 60s, rock and roll.
Yeah, this one is called Two Perfect Girls, and let's see. Yes, this actually did show up from the English dub of the Pokemon anime, but it does have 3 different versions. Here we go. The international version is played with a mix of guitars, piano, baritone, saxophone, alto saxophone, and percussion, while the other version has a big band playing the music here, which, yeah, again, not all the songs here are done with synth. Some are done with instruments, and this is one of them. And yeah, again, it's another bop about how Brock is girl crazy, but he is I guess, chivalrous about it in his own way. But yeah, needless to say, Misty is not impressed. Which does lead to that tirade about how boys are either fantasizing over girls or they're fantasizing over their Pokemon or something like that. Which, to Misty's credit, Brock was kind of doing
It's
just
still a
that.
bit of a generalization and not a good look
Oh,
for any
yeah.
of the characters involved.
Oh yeah, it is. This is back when that kind of writing was prevalent in the 90s to early
It's
2000s.
the equivalent of, handsome rogue turning to the camera and say, "Girls, am I right?" That kind of stuff.
Pretty much.
Also, we
So-
forgot to mention that during the scuffle with Pikachu shocking Team Rocket, apparently a stray bolt, because it's not conveyed well by the pyrotechnics, a stray bolt managed to free the Ash's mom and Professor Oak and allowed them to escape, which Giovanni deemed inconsequential because he only cares about Ash being brought.
And at this point, he's like, well, they can give a first-hand record of my new device and creation and all that jazz. So this leads to Oak pretty much telling Delia, look, you should tell Ash the truth before Giovanni tells your son.
Yeah, in a surprising maneuver that I wasn't expecting from this particular musical, we actively worked to avoid the dire reveal trope. Like, oh my god.
Again.
Yes, that's some random Pokemon musical. I've heard that silly thing.
Again, like I said, for a Pokemon musical that was made based off of just rewatching the movie on loop several times and only having a few weeks to write the script, I do feel like it's a pretty good script, all things considered. And it leads us to our next song, I've Got a Secret, which, believe it or not, is actually a freeway intersection between Delia, Misty, and Ash, essentially. Delia singing about how she is really struggling with her past as a peripheral member of Team Rocket, and she fears Ash's rejection to this news. Misty wanting to reveal her feelings to Ash, but she's also too afraid of his reaction. Admittedly, kind of relatable that you would fear the reaction of your crush in that regard. And Ash, of course, is grieving the disappearance of Pikachu, but he also realizes that he must continue his journey. Again, great song. This one was made for the musical, and yeah, I can see how. Which does lead to the 5 converging. Yes, they all run into each other back into the forest. That do be the power of song. Delia and Oak reveal to Ash and company that Giovanni has Pikachu in that regard. And I'll admit, I was worried they were going to hold this off because Ash said that he doesn't have time, but Delia insists that this is important, and she does reveal that, yeah, she used to run with Team Rocket. In fact, she was Giovanni's sweetheart. And again, some implications that Giovanni might be the father. Ash does not take this well. Like I said, he pretty much goes like Kratos psycho rebel rage mad about how he absolutely hates Team Rocket.
You can't escape me. I'll chase
I'll
you
chase you
to
to the ends of the earth. But I digress. Like, Ash is incredibly pissed at Team Rocket, and learning that his mom was a Team Rocket member while, again, being the legit girlfriend of Giovanni does not help his mood either. He sets off, essentially, right in time for Team Rocket to come in and kidnap him. A little easier than they expected.
Well, it's not even kidnapping.
Demands...
And Ash himself tells, okay, you don't have to do anything, I gotta go. And even Jesse just ponders, that was too easy.
I mean, hey, like, a win's a win. And again, while they do crash later off stage, they don't actually get sent actively blasting off. Admittedly, partly possibly due to how expensive it might be to launch the actors legit off into the air.
They have some production design, but not that much.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Whenever I think of that happening, the more I think, oh god, this is gonna be a turn out the dark disaster, isn't it?
I was thinking that too. Like, oh god, someday we gotta look at both versions of Turn Out the Dark. But I digress. No. To Team Rocket's credit, They are 100%, well, technically 90 since that one time they failed, but no, in terms of actually getting all the missions Giovanni sends out for them, they are 100% successful in this musical, which means, is this the most useful Team Rocket have been in
Which
anything?
is very sad considering how the track record in the previous OVAs has been very hit and miss.
I guess there was that bit with Hunter J, which let them be super serious with the black suit arc, and then they just stopped being super serious and successful for some reason. Although, to give Sun and Moon credit, they did give them another winning streak again. Jesse even got a Beware out of the deal. But yeah, no, props to Team Rocket. They had a good showing in this, all things considered. So they capture Ash and bring him to Giovanni, just as Giovanni hoped.
Also, Ash's mom has a small reprisal of Everything Changes, I think.
Yeah, everything changes.
along with Misty.
Which leads us to finally the big bad battle between Ash and Giovanni, who reveals that he is the mysterious gym leader to Ash.
Ye gods.
So, in a weird twist of how things are done, apparently the way Giovanni's gym leader battle goes is that he gives Ash the badge beforehand, but like if Ash loses, he'll be taking it back, which is very sporting, but God,
I guess it's the
weird.
equivalent of a teacher saying, "Okay, class, it's a new semester. You're welcome to my class. You automatically start with 100, but depending on how you perform, you'll get points stocked off."
Huh, that's actually not a bad way to look at it.
Yeah.
So Ash orders Pikachu to use Thundershock, followed by Thunderbolt, but Mecha Mewtwo suffers no damage. In fact, he absorbs both of those moves, leading Giovanni to proclaim that he has won.
Yeah, for once Ash is not able to, magically, body check or get away from the situation. He's genuinely about to be vaporized with an Hyper Beam.
Yeah, I know. This is like the only time Ash and Giovanni fight each other up until Black and White.
Okay. Can I talk about that real quick?
Sure.
So, how that ends? Giovanni just mops the floor with him within 10 seconds, and like when Giovanni's activating his master plan and it goes wrong, I forgot how it's done, but Pikachu just summons up a gigantic electro ball and blasts him away. I was like, how did Ash not be part of Giovanni's #1 hit list after that?
I think Giovanni didn't want to admit that he lost to a 10-year-old.
But at the same time, it's like, wait, this is the guy you guys have been chasing after? Hell nah. We gotta take him out.
Like, Dead, he's got a reputation to uphold, and like, he might lose the respect if he admits, yeah, a 10-year-old, the same 10-year-old who's been beating the 3 buffoons.
And also ruining his plans.
Also, just to mention, during the fight, Ash and Giovanni, of course, have a dual song that is called "You Just Can't Win."
Yeah, I'll admit, there's some good posing, dance, and everything with some female Team Rocket members added on. Oh yeah, prior to which Team Rocket, who were riding scooters, crashed off screen, which is essentially their blasting off. But again, technically, they accomplished all, so even if Giovanni loses, that doesn't take away Jesse, James, and Meowth's win. But yeah, things are all not looking good for us as Giovanni prepares to take him out with Hyper Beam. But then a force field appears around Ash and Pikachu, which will allow it so that, as an off-screen voice proclaims, the boy will not be harmed. Ladies and gentlemen, the man, the myth, the legendary Pokemon himself, Mewtwo shows up. So, like, to their credit, they did get the original voice from Mewtwo. This was before Dan Green voiced him in Return, so I get why. Which, to be fair, that's a pretty big deal, given how it was in the theatrical
movie.
Mewtwo
as a Deus Ex Machina, come on.
But, well, hold on. It's not all, because Mewtwo,
All right.
unfortunately, cannot beat Mecha Mewtwo on his own. Also, they do add a bit that Mewtwo mentions that, Ash, you don't know me, but I know you. Which, yes, implies that the movie did happen in this regard, but since Returns hasn't happened yet, Ash and company don't recognize Mewtwo yet. So, again, props to the continuity, although that does make sense given how Mewtwo Strikes Back was Michael Slade's main, research material, so I guess if he would know any details, it would be from that movie.
Mm-hmm.
However, yeah, Ash is fearful that Mecha Mewtwo will copy the psychic attacks, which Giovanni would just love because, yes, he is still nursing a huge grudge against Mewtwo. But Mewtwo does say there might be a way to beat Mecha Mewtwo. Not with his powers, but he turns to Ash and says, "The true power is within you." And then sends visions of Ash's happy memories onto the screens. Oh yeah, bit of context. One thing that the stage production does employ is little screens on the Pokedexes that are shown off to the sides of the theaters, which show bouts of footage from the anime to coincide with stuff going on in the show. This one shows a lot of Ash's happy memories from the show and movies, essentially, which is apparently what Mecha Mewtwo absorbs. Well, nothing seems to happen, but Giovanni does tell him to learn. I think Giovanni thought that it was getting powers from Mewtwo, but instead it absorbs something from Ash. He tells him to use the power, but Mecha Mewtwo doesn't do anything. This frustrates Giovanni to the point where he rushes up to the giant mech, right in time for it to grab him into a headlock. And then it speaks with an oddly feminine voice. I guess the Mecha Mewtwo is a she. Weird.
Sure.
Dwibs, this is the second Mewtwo. It's all connected.
This is where it came from. It somehow became a proper Mewtwo in between movies. What do you mean this isn't canon?
Basically, Mecha Mewtwo says, "You may have taught me many things, but you didn't teach me everything. But you did give me the capability of love. Love, which I have learned from the boy." Yes, that is right. The power of love that Ash feels for his friends, his family, and as it turns out later, the love he feels for Misty, which shows that, yes, Misty's feelings were reciprocated, happy for her. All that love has convinced the Mecha Mewtwo to commit suicide.
No, really. You remember learning the battles included with Electro with self-destruct? That was actually foreshadowing for this moment.
So basically, the Mecha Mewtwo is like, okay, Mewtwo, take the boy, because, yeah, I'm taking Giovanni with me.
I would say that Giovanni, keeps having this bad luck with creations turning up against him. But to be fair, he wasn't really expecting this because in this case it was a robot that he deliberately built without this capacity and was not expecting this to happen. So at the very least, there is that.
Apparently, he made the robot too good. Granted, I think it may be implied that Mewtwo was running interference to make the robot absorb Ash's feelings.
Again, Joe, but if we have a Mastermind of Mirage in which a hologram of Mew can have feelings and a soul or something, I guess this is possible too.
But yes, Mewtwo, of course, has to get his digs in, and Giovanni says, "This time, Giovanni, you are not defeated by me, but by him." Points at Ash.
I also love the fact that the countdown is like less than 20 seconds, but Mewtwo picks up Ash and they exit quietly, stage right very slowly.
And Giovanni, I guess, escapes
at the very last second. Yes, he manages to get away. And again, good production design, because the pyrotechnics to simulate the explosions are not that bad.
Yeah, no, again, like, it really does feel like an actual explosion on stage. So, to keep in continuity, Mewtwo wipes Ash's memory of him again. Which, when you get down to it, even if this was not intended to be canon, the way it's made, it can fit into the canon, actually, seeing as how Ash once again forgets about Mewtwo. But he does wake up with the badge, and Pikachu's back, along with all of Ash's family and friends surrounding him, which means that Ash won the Diamond Badge, which will probably be worthless in the long run.
And he did it by absolutely doing nothing.
But Tio, he used the power of love.
Shut the fuck up.
It's what happened. In fact, speaking of the power of love, he gives the Diamond Badge to Misty as a present for her birthday.
Even though this,
nice.
even though this was not really the outcome that was foreshadowed at all, like Misty, not demanded, but wanted more of a case of having a date, going out, having a fun time. She not necessarily wanted a present, so this is the payoff that feels a bit out of nowhere.
I mean, Misty's happy. I guess.
Yeah, I guess that's what counts.
Misty's happy. She knows that Ash likes her back, and Ash has accepted his mother's past and knows that he still loves her. All is well, and we can finally end with the big grand finale.
Yeah, it's really called that
of
finale.
The songs.
Oh, by the way, that's a thing that we forgot to mention because it's worth noting something that happens in this finale. You know those weird-ass transitions from the first Pikachu short? They technically are present in here. Occasionally, they just leave a black screen, or turn up the curtains, turn away the curtains, and a random Psyduck will walk out the stage, say Psy, occasionally repeating the same line in quick succession. It's like a recording of that, and then exit stage right. And it's important because this Psyduck later picks up Ash's mother doing one of her songs at the very end, and during the finale stage brings back Giovanni to sing as well with the others.
Which Giovanni clearly hates, so he is in tune with you, I see, Tio.
Complete with... okay, it's a bit hard to notice because, as we mentioned, the quality of the recording is garbo, but Giovanni apparently also has a bit of bruises on his face and is really stuttered, so the explosion still did something.
Yes. Wow, that is 2 explosions he has had to deal with
also,
now concerning Mewtwo.
Small thing to mention, at the very least, these productions seem to remember more Giovanni's look from the games because his sweetie is completely black. Not the same as in the games, but at least more towards that, while in the anime it was this orange, which, it's my favorite color, but I don't think it was fitting him.
There was, speaking of Psyduck, there is that funny bit where Psyduck does speak to Ash's mom at the end of one of her songs, and she says, "Yeah, you're right."
What did the Psyduck said?
Clearly, he was giving him words of wisdom and self-help advice that only a Psyduck can know.
Whatever.
Yeah, those great words of wisdom.
But yes, that was the musical.
Show's
Pokemon
over.
Live. And
Go home.
I enjoyed it. Again, I was expecting to not like it, especially with the implication that it was some cheapo, cheesy crap fest. But no, I do feel like they definitely showed their work. The production values were there. The acting was on point. I enjoyed the songs. I enjoyed the cheese. Aside from some bits that weren't getting to me, and maybe some of the songs getting a little bit fillerish, I feel like the pacing was overall good too. They did their best to work in Pokemon battles and had decent enough effects to convey them well and through.
Alright,
Dej,
award
what's
time.
next?
Just to know, because of this special occasion, and I get the idea there might not be particular, variety in terms of choices. Are you allowing repetition for this case?
Yes.
Okay. So first of all,
the Mewtwo Award, which is who is the best character in this movie? Dwibs, because you are the guest, you have the esteemed honor of choosing first.
I guess Mewtwo.
He literally shows up, refuses to elaborate, then leaves.
wife's
Yeah,
memory.
yeah.
Please.
Yeah. I mean, he's probably he's the most direct guy in this thing. He shows up, does his shtick, and does it well, and then just leaves, going back home. Like, my work is done.
And to his credit, he does awesome stuff without stealing the spotlight from Ash, and Ash is still technically the one to beat Mecha Mewtwo, so kudos.
Like, I could have done it without wiping Ash's memory again. He's got a really bad habit of doing that, but
I really do wonder if the original intention was for this to be canon, and that's why they did that.
But hey, I'm all for that's one thing I prefer the most. Succinct and direct.
All right.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, Mewtwo's my favorite character.
Yo?
Yeah, I'll go next. Gotta be as obvious as it can be, Giovanni. I mean,
Yeah.
okay. While Darren Dunstan, in terms of tone of voice, is a bit higher in pitch from what I would expect from Giovanni. I would expect something a bit deeper, a bit like Patrick Siza, for example, for a voice
Or
actor.
Ted Lewis.
Yeah, I guess Ted Lewis, but I'm not really. Again, Lewis, you have to remember that I'm not super used to his anime voice. Very quicker to the 4Kids voice. So I'm trying to think a bit more what the other examples that I heard in terms of voice acting are. And again, I think the character would have better a bit of a deeper voice. But again, Darren Dunstan is doing a perfectly fine job, and gives the whole over the topness. And again, he also gets the better song. So I kind of had to go with that. And again, he's also very competent. He comes very close to win. If it wasn't for the Mewtwo Ex Machina, he would have won fair and square, technically. So that's actually pretty cool. Drova.
Mm-hmm.
Until Rayquaza shows up and says, I heard you talking, sure.
Drova.
So many to choose. On the one hand, I know some may kill me for this. I kind of do dig how this is a Misty willing to finally spit it out rather than pull the whole tsundere shtick over and over with Ash. But I'm going to have to give my favorite one to Team Rocket because I'm just going to say it. This is the most useful and competent Team Rocket have been before the Black Suit arc, as I like to call it.
Mm-hmm.
During the Best Wishes bout where they were suddenly super competent. But no, Team Rocket accomplish all their missions and even get some praise from Giovanni for it. I mean, it's silly the way they do it, but hey, using the theater musical meta to their advantage to steal Pikachu during a song and dance number, again, I gotta give them props to it. And while their second mission winning was kind of, even as they admitted, a little too easy, look, a win's a win. Sure, they technically blast off, but again, they accomplish all they want to. Team Rocket as a whole, them and Giovanni really had a good showing for this musical. Good stuff.
Oh, that's really cool.
Drew.
I was gonna say Delia because snaps, doing something with her. She had a history with Giovanni. It's like, this was actually cool. I wish we saw more of it.
Yeah, I'll be serious. This musical pushed the envelope quite possibly the most in terms of daring to give character development outside of that retcon that, it turns out Ash has a childhood friend from way, way back who's actually his true love. Sorry, Misty.
That's not.
Well, at least it's not like in the original Japanese version of the anime where Dilly doesn't even get a name, really, I don't think.
Although, I do get a laugh at that last line from the musical. Don't worry, Misty. We'll be together forever.
Yeah, it was used in one of the earlier songs, the one about friendship. Ouch.
Look, I just want to say this. Serena is somewhere in the crowd shaking her head.
Ash is mine, you bitch!
Honestly,
what did Serena do to anybody?
At the cost of being, the odd one out, I really don't give a shit.
Well, okay, I'll admit, I kind of get why, especially Misty fans were mad.
I forgot which one I mentioned, but I don't play and watch this media about illegal cockfighting, creature capturing for love stories. I'm sorry.
Well, again, to be fair,
let me know when you eventually read the Ruby and Sapphire manga.
Oh, Sapphire is the goat.
That just told me stories about the manga lines.
Just don't read RS. That's all I can say. Anyway,
but
next we have the Go Award, which is worst character.
Dwibs.
I'd say Brock.
Fair.
Like,
Yeah.
it's his shtick of it's his whole stick of I want to hit on multiple women at once, which has never been funny. Well, the most humor I've ever gotten out of it is when Brock gets dragged away, especially by Max, who's like half his size.
See, we could have
That's like
been
the only humor. That's like the only kind of laughter I got out of Brock's shtick, and yeah. Aside from that, he's just kind of there. It's just really bland.
Alright, I guess I'll go next.
Yeah.
I made it no secret, but I'll have because to be obvious, I will have to say Misty. Like I said, I really don't like how she's portrayed in this, and normally would be much more fine in what she does, you know. Particularly also in the other OVAs. Again, take for example Mastermind of Mirage, in which she is technically in peril, you know, but she does technically more stuff, and she actually is more proactive, you know. In this, she barely feels like an actual character, instead more like of a audience surrogate from someone who doesn't know much about Pokemon and just, you know, gets an idea on what female trainers might be like. No, this is not it. I'm sorry. Next.
Java.
Again, when it comes to Misty, for as annoyed as I did get with how she goes, especially with that, oh, all you boys, I still do find her crush on Ash. Well, okay, even if there has been implied to be a crush on Ash in the actual anime, the crush here is actually more cute for me, since it's more that than the tsundere shtick of her mistreating Ash half the way overall, and at least she finally can try and spit it out. Now, for me, the weakest link in this one is sadly going to have to be Brock. Mind you, I don't full on hate him. He can be funny in this still, but it feels like they focus solely on just the funny and none of his serious stuff overall, which is honestly a shame, I do feel, because Brock, when he is pushed to it, can legit be kind of like the group parent when you get down to it. And, you know, the voice the actor goes for is a bit wacky. A bit too wacky for my liking. Again, I don't hate him, and his songs are still great. It's just, you know, and again, like this, he's the worst of the best. I, for the most part, like all the characters in this. It's just, I like Brock the least. And I do feel like it's obvious that the story was kind of struggling to give him as much a purpose, because everyone else seems to have a stronger purpose. I guess the only one who feels maybe a bit superfluous, aside from him, might be Oku. Giovanni targeted instead of the one kid who's been constantly getting in the way of his organization. Although I guess, to be fair, he probably figures said kid won't be as much a trouble as Oak, who is implied to have been an ass kicker of a Pokemon trainer, so fair beans, fair beans. But yeah, Brock's my pick.
That's
Well, as a joke, I want to say Team Rocket because they said that Cleveland was better than New York. So they really are villains that deserve the worst. Honestly, I want. Can I say Misty because of that dumb plot point?
You mean where she says all boys are bad?
No. It's like because what she said, like Pikachu running away from Ash. It's like maybe she got tired. I'm like, what? Where? This is so terrible.
Like, yeah, she admits even she was stepping out of line with that. Still, hormones or not, girl. Yikes. So you gonna go with Misty?
Yeah.
next award, Ben.
All right. The
Just
worst
say that.
scene. The scene that you hated the most. Tia, you go first.
Actually, no. Again, Dwibs is the guest, so why not?
Worst scene. I'd have to say the that bit where Brock is just hitting on people. Again, I mean, why? It's just why? I mean, he got what he deserved. They all slapped him for being a creep, but again, that's like the only decent bit out of that. And when the most decent part is one of the main characters getting hit, that's not a good sign.
Dwibs slapstick mangakas would disagree.
Well, they
But I
can.
digress.
I beg to differ on that. Unless it's a fight where you're supposed to get hit.
Okay, I'll go next.
Theo.
What the misty bit that Dej just mentioned, again, lowest point of the whole thing, and genuinely just either mean-spirited or just a case of very bad writing. The rest of the stuff, that gets to be bad for a musical, I can say is just, cringe, potentially, but it's more in line. This just really sticks out like a sore thumb. I'm sorry. Drova.
I guess for me, since Tio already took the bit where Misty suggests that Pikachu intentionally ran away from Ash, I guess I'll go with the bit where Misty goes, all boys are terrible like this or that. Like, yeah, I get it. She may not mean it for that since she's just feeling hissy fetish at the moment, but nah, I feel like that line did not need to be there. Like, I'm fine with her arc overall. Again, I feel like this gives her some much needed development that she has needed, but nah, lines like that we could have done well without. Edge.
The opening, it's kind of current. It did make me cringe. Like, oh no, this might actually be the worst thing we've ever done for content on this channel. But like, thankfully, that's not it wasn't an omen for the rest of the play. But wow, it did not leave a good first impression.
Guess you could say they got the worst out of the way first in that regard.
I guess so.
All
Right, that's it. That's everybody.
Yeah,
All right, best
next.
scenes.
Now it's time for the best scene. Dwibs.
The bit where Team Rocket compared New York negatively towards
Cleveland.
Of course, the Brit says that. Okay.
I mean that's the best part of any pantomime or theatrical production like this, where the villains just take turns taking the piss out of the city that they're in.
I will allow it in this case. It's mostly because it's a fourth wall gag, and it's usually more welcome when it comes to theater production. Unlike the whole Minnesota Vikings joke in the first movie, because that was just localization bit that they wanted to add to be funny.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, that being omitted from the dub of the U2 Strikes Back remake was actually kind of disappointing.
Oh no!
Sad. That was sad. All right, so that's Dwibs' best scene.
Although to be fair, that was because the animation.
Anyway, as for me, okay, it was not in a sense that they aren't, but it's more a case that there are a bunch of good picks that I might be considered. It's mostly involved Giovanni when you really get down to it. So I guess I would go with. Okay, strictly as a scene and not as a musical piece, so it's important for later, but I will pick the moment in which Team Rocket manages to kidnap Pikachu. Again, it manages to be a meta joke, type of joke, exploitation, that you wouldn't expect, but it is based on old school cartoon gag, these guys as a choreographed dancer during a musical number to do shenanigans, so that's actually pretty neat the way they implemented it, and the first time when I was watching this, I did not realize it until it was too late, so again, good job, they actually did work out, so that is a bit impressive, admittedly. Drover.
Okay, for me, it's a bit tough because sometimes best scenes do go hand in hand with what I think is the best song. But if I were to say the two particular scenes that stand out to me, one might surprise you, and that is the best friend song and dance number. Like, it might seem mundane, but I really do like that scene because it's just good old-fashioned, wholesome Pokemon, showing the trio in their natural element as the best of friends. And now, if I went for what's my absolute favorite scene, though, that would probably be the whole final clash between Ash and Giovanni, since this is where the effects are, shown to their zenith, culminating with that explosion. And again, for as Deus Ex Machina-ish as it is, Mewtwo is flipping cool with how he comes in, stops the Hyper Beam, prompts Ash to use the power of love. Again, corny as that is, it actually is used in an awesome way to get the robot to self-destruct. And while Giovanni did get out, he did not get out unscathed, especially with his pride. And yeah, on an extra bit that we didn't mention, I love how Giovanni is practically forced to come out for the final dance number. He clearly is not happy about the whole thing. But yeah, no, I guess favorite scene are song and dance wise, song and dance wise, it's the song My Best Friends. For the actual action scene, the final battle between Ash and Giovanni, including Mewtwo.
Edge.
Well, as a joke, I want to say when Giovanni recognizes Delia.
Yes.
Hold on. Because it reveals that he's a cock.
Your favorite, Edge.
No, because it's more pathetic. It's like, oh, you had a thing for her, and she left you for another guy.
Well, she does say that I think it's implied that she left when she realized how evil Team Rocket were getting.
No,
so...
she knew they were because she fell into a bad crowd.
Yeah.
Part of me does wonder, how would Delia have been as a Team Rocket member?
I don't know.
On a serious note, my favorite part was when Giovanni was fighting those random trainers and the guy was
To self-destruct.
Yeah, you moron.
I guess it's
guess
better when someone arriving with a Magikarp and forcing Mecha Mewtwo to learn Splash.
Oh god, that would be so funny
been...
seeing Mecha Mewtwo splashing.
Was Destiny Bond a thing in Gen 1?
Yes, I think. Let me check Bulbapedia just to be very quick. No, introduced in Generation 2.
Ah, okay. That would have been funny as hell.
Again, one thing to remember, guys. If we are to consider that this is taking place after the Orange Islands arc, then I guess we would be in Gen 2 by the time of this musical.
I guess, to an extent.
Yes. Alright, but because we're doing something special, it's time for a totally new and wacky radical segment. Best song.
So the Chatot Award. Anyway, Dwibs.
Best song,
Yes.
I guess by default, the Pokemon theme. The one that gets interrupted by his mates walking in on him. Yeah, that's the best song.
Technically, it's not listed in the soundtrack listing, so should we count that?
It's in the production.
Anyway, as for me, again, Giovanni and everything, so I gotta go with It Will All Be Mine. Like I said, it has the unfortunate effect of saying that the musical peaks very early on and everything else is just, at least to me, watered down at best. So, unfortunately, we have that. But hey, it's a good villain song. Drove already said his, so you have to say yours, Dej.
Double Trouble.
If I were to go...
I like how Delia was used in the song. It's like, you're just the players in his master plan.
Yes. Also, I guess if I were to go with any other favorite song I have other from My Best Friends, I guess would be I've Got a Secret, which again is a well-made song for the musical. Again, the song value is pretty great overall.
Alright, are we done, Dej?
No, because we also have a Jova specific segment.
Oh boy.
Oh. Be still, my beating heart.
Well, Joe, well, since you're the theater kid, I think it's only appropriate that you answered these two questions.
Yes.
And Dwibs and Tio can kind of apply for.
Go
Is this
on.
better than TMNT coming out of our shells?
Yes.
Yes.
I'm gonna go yes, mostly because TMNT coming out of the shells, I saw it only once, and it was far more annoying than this.
Again,
Look,
I get it's okay. It's exactly like this production, where the best scene in it is when is the villain taking the piss out of the audience. The problem is everything else in coming out of our shells is painfully bad. The songs, the quote story, the the
Okay.
costumes.
let me
Yeah,
just,
but
wait.
did this have Oprah Winfrey in it? I think not.
Why do I get the
So?
feeling Oprah Winfrey regrets it? But okay, let me lay a few things down. I can say that this musical actually feels like it has dignity to it, because coming out of our shells feels like it doesn't even like the franchise that it's attached to. Like, it feels like it does not like TMNT, and it berates you for liking TMNT. That is how bad coming out of our shells feels.
So what's the
And
other
also-
one, Dedge?
And also, I just don't really like most of the songs there.
So what's
It's
the
been
other
a while
one?
since I've seen it, but I digress.
So what's the other one, Dedge?
Is this better than Spider-Man Turn Off the Dark?
Oh boy.
But
Okay.
just to give an idea, maybe Jovan, because Dedge asked me more casually this question before, and will say this on an outside kind of thing. As far as we know, this did not cause injuries to the people involved.
Yeah.
So there is that.
Like, how to put it like this? Spider-Man Turn Off the Dark is more fun to make fun of, but I gotta say, this is definitely the more better put together stage production, and I'll give it credit. While Mewtwo does show up, he doesn't hijack the plot, which is less than can be said for what happens with Arachne. Well, okay, admittedly, in the first version of the musical, she's toned down in the second version. Look, Spider-Man Turn Off the Dark was a showing of how far Julie Taymor, the writer of the Lion King Broadway show, had fallen from grace, because, goddamn, Arachne outright hijacks the plot in version 1, and even by version 2, the damage had been done. And don't get me wrong, it's an amazing showcase, but it was not a well-put-together production. The fact that thing was as foreboding as the fact that one of the producers literally died right before or after signing a contract to get it off the ground was just one of many, many problems with it. Like, and I'm also gonna say I remember the songs in the Pokemon musical better. Again, maybe I need to have another listen to the Spider-Man Turn Off the Dark stuff, but okay. Ignoring which one is more fun to make fun of, Pokemon Live, I'd say, is objectively speaking the better put together musical.
All right. So are we done, Dedge?
I guess so.
So final thoughts and score. Although considering Shiro is not present here, this is more of a rhetorical thing, and I don't think.
Yeah, I mean this is April Fool's shit.
To be fair, we did canonize stuff for both Yokai Watch and the Digimon the movie. So
True.
again, just for this occasion, mostly only because Shiro is not here. But again, let's hear what also the votes are. Dwibs.
Okay. It was a semi-decent production. It's not like the best thing ever, obviously. But the best I can say about it is it could have been a lot worse. I was half expecting really hokey acting, really really bad costumes, and well, and a really half-assed plot. I mean, the plot itself isn't great, but it's fine. The actors give it everything they've got. I mean, they're professionals; they should do. And God, poor. I actually do really feel sorry for Andrew Rannells, considering how much he hated doing the production.
Oh,
only-
really? He hated doing this?
Yeah, he took it really because he was really running low on cash, because he felt James was a really poor gay stereotype. When he himself is gay, although I'm not sure James is canonically gay. I mean, I get where he's coming from, but I'm not quite sure.
The anime, as far as I'm concerned, flips up a bit and teases sometimes, but I don't think they outright state it.
Honestly, if anything, it felt like they were trying to make Brock Misty's gay best
Oh.
friend at sometimes,
He said
instead of James.
He even said he'd rather have done a snuff movie than do this musical.
Yeah, here's when again, I'm gonna trust his word on that, considering. But again, as far as we know, that's basically the only major negative aspect of his production.
And I'll say he hides that feeling well, since it does feel like he does still give his all to the role.
Well, again,
he's
he's
an
professional.
actor.
Again,
He has to.
nominated for two Tonys and won a Grammy. So again, he has a bit of professionality.
Yeah, but he's not done too bad for himself.
Go on, Dwibs.
And the musical numbers, they were musical numbers. Again, I'm not really big on musicals, but well, there you go. As for my final score, I'd give this a 6.0 out of 10. It's not great, but I mean, I've seen worse.
All right, I guess I'll go next
Yeah.
then. Oh my god. Look, I know that there was a lot of good faith poured into this, and they also had a lot of work and sweat and blood poured into the production value, the coordination, and the talent involved. So I want to respect that. But at the same time, I'm sorry, the few things I genuinely like about this product, cannot really be enough to be entertaining, and there's still also the fact that it's basing itself of the anime, which in itself, as more and more time passes, I think it's more of too much of a deviation from the source material. So there's basically a watered down that manages to have a few entertaining spots, and the fact that I like Giovanni, unfortunately, cannot really save it. I kind of feel like for a music-themed tribute, Vilda Yankovic with Pokemon had a better idea. This doesn't really feel it. 3.5. Jova.
Okay, I will say this. I went in expecting this to just be a shallow cash grab of a theater production, especially since Dedge proposed this for April Fools. What I got was actually a show with a lot of love and care put into it, and despite the fact that it was written by a guy who didn't know about Pokemon prior, his research does show, and it does feel pretty good and on point here. I like how this actually draws on the characters more than almost anything else has. I like how it gave Team Rocket their wins here and there and worked it in with the theme of the musical here and there. Heck, I like that Misty is finally just spitting it out rather than pulling this Rachel and Rosh will they or will they not bullcrap that the anime seems to love doing with her. Did not really care for much of what Brock was doing here, but his songs were nice. I liked the effects, I liked the songs, I liked the singing. I'll admit, it's not the most high-profile show. There were some things I feel could have been done better. But, again, as you know, I tend to grade each of these things within the parameters of the standard of what they should be, I rank movies about how well they did as movies, TV specials, how well they did as TV specials, because obviously they aren't going to have as high a production value in those movies. And this will get its own regards here and there. I ended up legit enjoying it. It's not perfect. There were things that could be improved, but I did like how bold and creative what they are. And no, that's not just me supporting the memes of the shipping or this or that, but no, I do like the risks that this is willing to take here and there. And again, due to how it's crafted, it could fit into the canon. So yeah, I'm gonna give this 8.5 out of 10.
That's
Well, let me just say that I'm probably the most positive when it comes to the anime, much to some people's Mary. I had zero expectations for this. I just felt the only reason why I did this is because Gage said, "You guys should do this." Do this. I'm like, okay, why not? And then I saw it. I saw the beginning, and I thought, "Oh my god, this is terrible." But then it kept going, and then I just started smiling and had fun with it. It's not. This isn't something to win awards, but for what it is and what they had to do in a short, limited time, it could have been much, much worse, and still better than what most fans could do. But ultimately, it's fine. I had fun. Music is good. Giovanni is over the top. Probably the most screen time he's ever had in the series, which is sad.
And hey, he still is competent for the musical.
Yeah. Yeah, so I guess I'll give this a 6.
alright, Dad. Do you have something for any of us to read?
Well, now that our heroes have finally gotten themselves out of whatever the hell this was, I guess the next April Fool's joke will be something really, really weird.
Again, you know, if it's like
something that has to do with 4 kids is another better one. See you next time for Yu-Gi-Oh! Whatever that movie was called.
Pyramid of Light.
Yeah, sure,
that's
whatever.
That's the new name. Yu-Gi-Oh! Whatever the movie was called.
See you next time for Pokemon Period of Light. Bye.
Yeah.